Hi, and thanks for joining this first tutorial on the Moose framework for Dummies. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you some tricks and the mechanisms that you can apply to embed scripting within the mission editor and in your missions. Going to show you how to embed Lua using triggers in a script box, to embed Lua using triggers in a do script box, to embed Lua at conditions, to embed Lua at waypoints, and to mix Lua in various places. And I'm going to do this with an example mission using DCS World 2.1. So as you can see, I'm having the mission editor here, and I've put a magnifier on the top so that those who are watching this video tutorial with mobile phones can look at some of the text that might be too small to read, and it's magnified on the top. So I'm going to the mission editor. So now I'm going to show you, using a very simple demonstration from scratch, using the Moose framework, how you can embed Moose in various ways in your mission editor. First thing that you see is this box here. This is the set rules for trigger. You see here a trigger list, right? So the first thing you need to do is at mission start. What I do is I do this, Moose, I do new, and I do script file. And then I go to my source directory where I have my moose.lua located, and I'm loading the Moose file here. This is the first setup that you always need to have using the framework. Second thing that you can do is you can add a new trigger at mission start and load a mission file that you created in a Lua file somewhere. I'm going quickly to my Moose missions here. For example, I have a test mission, cap grouping test. I double click on that, and now my mission is loaded here within my script. Now, this is one way of doing it, but maybe you don't want to do this at all. Maybe you want to do something very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a tank. That tank will be spawned. So I'm putting it late activated. Tank. The unit name tank. Let's put it excellent skill. And that tank, I'm going to let it drive around Groom Lake. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to use the spawn class. Right, so what I created here is in my demonstration missions here, I've created a directory Moose for Dummies, tutorial 1, drive the tank. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spawn the tank on the mission. So I'm doing tank, that's the variable. This is going to be my object of the tank. Spawn, double point, new, and then a template prefix, which is going to be the name that I defined in my mission editor, tank. Just doing this for demonstrations. I'm going to save the file. I'm going back to here, to my mission editor. Now I'm going to incorporate the script, not using the script file. I'm just going to execute this statement in a script box. So I'm doing here spawn tank. Using do script, and I'm cutting pasting this statement here. Now when I do this, the tank won't be spawned. There is another method that I need to call. It's called tank double point spawn. This will spawn a tank driving around the area. Notice that I just included Moose and I haven't done anything else. I can execute this as at mission start at once, or I can do here time more after 5 seconds, for example, and I can save the mission file at the place where I had this script located, because I'm going to use it later. Right, so let me name this, not the hidden secret, tutorial 1 mission. Good. Now I'm going to run it. Right, so I'm in my mission now, and let's fly it. And I'm going to show you the Groom Lake Airbase from the map view. And after 5 seconds here, this tank has been spawned. Here we are. There's nothing to it. Great. Let's do something else. Now I'm going to show you in the mission editor how to mix the object tank that I'm going to load as a script now into the mission. So I'm going to load a mission file at mission start, new, do script file, open. I'm going into my directory that I had created, Moves for Dummies, tutorial 1, drive the tank. And remember, in this script file we have this written, only this, tank equals spawn new tank. And now what I'm going to do is something really special. That is, tank is a global variable here. So this object tank will be known in your mission everywhere. And don't forget, it has properties. Right? So now we're going to do the magic. Tank is known, so I loaded it here. So in my spawn object, in my do script, here I can delete this. And this will work as well. Let me show you. Again, Groom Lake. Here we are. There's my tank. Okay? I hope you got that. Just remember now that when you load your mission, you can what I call declare your objects in a script file. Tank 1, Tank 2, Tank A, spawn objects, and then you can start spawning them at certain intervals. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, another example, something more. You'll notice that your tank is driving around, correct? It runs through waypoints. Let me put this waypoint a bit closer, just for demonstration purposes, and let me speed up the tank here. So when my tank drives here, what I want to do is, I want to use the tank object to spawn another tank. How do I do that? Well, there is an advanced waypoint action here. I can do add, and then I can do perform command, run script. So in here, remember I had the tank object. So here I can start writing tank double point spawn, which will spawn me another tank. This is going to be an interesting effect. Let's have a look what happens. So after 5 seconds here, this tank will spawn, which happened. This is going to drive to this point here, and when it arrives here, that script will be executed. Remember? Did you see? A new spawn. A new spawn. And a new spawn. In this recursive thing that I did at the waypoint, I'm spawning a new tank, but I could also spawn something else. I could spawn infantry, for example, or certain objects, or I can send a message to a person, or I can add a menu option. There are many things that you can do at a waypoint. So that's about running scripts at waypoints, and I'm going to show you something else that happens at a waypoint that's maybe a bit more interesting. So when you're at the waypoint and you got this tank dynamically created and it's driving here, what I now want to do is I want to retrieve the object that was spawned, the group And with that group, I would like to send a message to everybody from the group, say hello world. How do I do that? Well, that's going to be a bit more difficult to do, and the syntax isn't clear, and it's very difficult to write in the box here your Lua. So what I do as a trick is I go to my Lua editor, tank, spawn. It's what I did in my script, but tank spawn returns me something. It returns me a group. Now I have two options here. I can do this. So tank group equals tank spawn. That's an option. So when I copy this, no, I will copy it later at the place, but then I can do this. Tank group, which is now a group object. Message to all. Hello world. Show this message for 20 seconds. And, well, a name, that means a title, I would say here. Achieved. So this is now a message that I will send. I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna replace this at the waypoint. So, no, sorry, at the spawning. So when the tank is spawned, I'm gonna create a tank group global object, and I'm gonna use the tank group global object to send to hello world to everybody that the message, that the mission has been achieved. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna put this in my mission editor at the place where I spawned the tank, which was here in doScript. So here I'm creating a global tank group object. And then I'm going to go to tank group, and then at waypoint 1 in the script here, I'm using that global tank group object to send a message to everybody, hello world, I achieved something. I won't receive the message as being a spectator. I need to have a player slot. So what I'm going to do is I'll put here I'm going to put a standard plane just at the ramp, just sitting there. And that's going to be a client. Correct. So I'm going to sit in there. I'm going to see that tank driving to there, see the message appear. Right. So now we're going to look at the tank. Here it is. It's driving. I'm going to jump in the plane. So what I do is choose slot. That one, yeah. I'm there. Let me get in there. Although I think I don't need to. Let me try external view. There you go. Here's my message. Right? Tank achieved. Hello world. Here's the... yeah. Okay. That's cool, right? So just remember now I created a global object, a group object that I'm using at the waypoint to send a message. Now there's another way. I don't need that group object because the tank is driving its trajectory, and when the tank crosses a waypoint, then actually there is a variable that's been hidden here that contains the group object of the tank that is driving over the waypoint. So I can do it a bit different. Let me show you this. I can do the following. I'm not going to create a tank group. It's a hidden variable, and that's going to be with 3 points, so I can just use the group object. This is going to be the group class, and I'm going to create a tank group in the waypoint temporarily. So what I'm doing is here group double point find, just like this, and I'm giving 3 points here. Forgive me the syntax, but it really is like this. And this I'm going to call tank group equals this. Okay, and then I'm going to use that message to all again. I can define it locally, and I will explain local later when I get into the Lua tutorials. But it's really to demonstrate that this is a local variable. It's not going to be global for those that understand Lua. So remember that I had here, that do script file, right, where I created the tank group. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to delete tank group. I'm just going to spawn an object. Nothing is remembered, where it's stored and everything. And at the waypoint here in do script, I'm going to paste that text that I have created. Remember the 2 dots. It's a bit syntactic, I know. It's a trick, right? So group has a capability to create a tank group variable from the 3 dots given here as a parameter, and then you can use that group object to send a message to everybody. So again, after 5 seconds we get our tank, it starts driving. And now I'm going into external mode. There we are. Hello world. This is great, right? So I don't know the tank. It's just an object running in the sim. It arrives at the waypoint, and I can then retrieve what object am I handling at the waypoint event and do some actions with that group. Okay? Excellent. Next topic. Conditions. Because tank group is an object, I can do things like I can inquire if the tank group is above the runway. Let me put that in there. Now, because I'm using tank group, I'm going to redo and define the global variable, so I need that because it's not a waypoint action anymore. I'm going to redo that tank group declaration here. Tank group equals tank spawn, that's okay. I'm gonna delete the run script from here. Right? I'm actually gonna delete this. This is done. And I'm gonna put now in a trigger, a continuous trigger, continuous action that checks, am I above a runway? How do I do that? Well, I can do here, there is something like a condition, and that's going to be a lure condition, and I need to find where it is. I forgot my glasses. Lure predicate, here we are. Tank group is above runway, and this function returns true or false. So it will return true when that tank group is above the runway. And then I will do an action. I will do a run script. And I will do this action here. I have my tank group globally defined, so I can just do that here. Tank group message to all. Hello world. No. Let's write something else. I am above a runway. And I will display that 20 seconds. So I'm placing a bit the tank above the runway. I'm gonna let it drive here. And the continuous action, lure predicate, tank group is above runway, will trigger this message to all script. And I promise you it won't work because there is a DCS error that is in the system, I think, since release 1.5, so that's for the last 2 years, that prevent us from doing this little functionality, which I think is very user-friendly, and it has been reported and it will be fixed. We just need to promise, I mean, we need to be faithful in this. So this bug, this mechanism here won't work because Lua predicates are simply not working within DCS world since a long time. So this script mechanism isn't work, and I promise you that it doesn't work. I show you because I'm gonna demonstrate it for you. And this is really a shame. If you look at the capabilities of what the Moose framework can do for you, like you can check zones, you can do all kinds of fancy Lua predicates, and it just doesn't work in the product. It's amazing. I find it really amazing. So here we go, and now let the tank drive over the runway, right? And no text, nothing. It's a shame. Okay. Right, so as a roundup here, let me summarize what I've explained through this video session. And let me emphasize that this is not an explanation of the Moose framework. It's rather demonstrating what you can do using the mission editor, the different ways to embed scripting in your missions. And you can do it in a script box on a trigger. You can do this by importing a script file on the trigger level. You can do this by waypoints. So when a group drives over a waypoint, that you can then execute an action in Lua coded. And you can, if it will work, embed Lua and check conditions on a continuous basis. So you can use these various methods together and mix Lua in various places in your mission editor. I hope you found this interesting, and in my next tutorial I'm going to explain you how to set up that editor, as well what are the other options for editing scripts that you have. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye bye.